So there's a lot going on in the Love and Deep Space community right now. It's gone from silly little OtomeGame to an insane war between incels and I don't know, incels, I guess. So let me break this down for you. If you aren't aware of what Love and Deep Space is, it's basically like the best dating game for women out on the market right now. There's a lot of story, there's fighting mechanics, there's the 5 love interests you can pursue as of right now. And then you can also go on cute little dates with your love interest of choice, talk on the phone, you know, basic Otome game stuff. If you've ever touched Mystic Messenger or like Tears of Themis for the 6 people who play that game, this is pretty standard stuff. Now, the game has been pretty tame over the past year or so, and by tame I mean like not a lot of explicit over the top fan service, I guess. But the last patch, Infold, the company that made the game, capitalized on that very genre, and it was the nightly rendezvous cards. It was a pretty big step for Love and Deep Space, the main fan service that like really got pushed. With these cards, the discussion of whether or not Love and Deep Space is a gooner game was created. I don't really want to explain what a gooner game is, but basically it's questioning if the game was purely made for degenerates or not. I'll just sum it up like that. Now, this argument stayed within the lines of the fandom. It was just light bickering between the girlies who play the game, but for some reason this argument has left the confines of the girlies, and now Twitter found it, which is the worst thing that can happen to your fandom. It sort of started off with this tweet about Love and Deep Space. I'm just gonna call it Lads. It's a bit of a mouthful to say Love and Deep Space. But Lads surpassed Hoyoverse games in revenue in a short amount of time, stating that female gooners are scary. So the girls are bickering lightly between each other, saying, oh, it's not a gooner game, or yes, it is a gooner game, whatever. Now, I'm not here to discuss whether it is or not. That's up to you to figure out if you think it is. But what I'm here to talk about is the apparent war that has been brewing between male gooners and then the players of Love and Deep Space. And I really do have to say like gooners and degenerates because there's genuinely no better word to use for these sets of individuals. Anyway, in 3.0, a huge patch released for the game. It added the 5th and best love interest into the game.
I'm gonna open it.
As well as a bunch of story and other features. One of those features was a period tracker. It's pretty self-explanatory. You log your days, whatever. It's a game practically made for women. Like, you can tell that this game is directly for women. And unless you're a middle schooler or something, you know that periods is something that most women go through pretty often. But believe it or not, this period tracker, this small tiny little feature, this is what made the male gooners so upset on Twitter. For some reason, a select few of low IQ individuals are claiming that the period tracker in of itself is inherently sexual, saying that a female cycle has to do with the reproductive system, which makes it sexual.
What?
Other people are complaining that the men in the game are raising women's standards. Quote, they have raised their real life standards to the point they will reject a life with another man if they do not meet the fantasy that is their husbando. This is unhealthy mental illness. The first crime in this tweet is using the word husbando in 2025.
Husbando.
Secondly, if women choose to be alone for the rest of their lives, let's say, because men don't appeal to them, why does that matter? This is such a strange argument that does not matter. I hate to say and the world kept spinning because people like to say this for the worst situations ever, but genuinely the world has not stopped because there's a period tracker in an OtomeGame made for women. And if women are rejecting men because they like Love and Deep Space, then let them. So anyway, we also have Tectone in this argument for some reason. I guess of course, because he can't keep his nose out of other people's business. I think his tweet probably sent his bot incel fans into the argument and made it worse, but you know, don't quote me on that. But he tweeted, a gooner game isn't just an over-sexualized game. It's also games that attempt to farm parasocials to feel like the video game character cares and understands you more than those in real life. So yes, lads, adding a period tracker feature is for gooners. Shut the F up with y'all trying to act like y'all different. This whole thing is insane. The fact that the period tracker is the thing they're so latched onto. I would understand if like he were saying the nightly rendezvous cards were kind of insane. Like this is some insane fan service. Like the fact that Silas just like he's shirtless in the limited banner. Anything other than this period tracker, I would be like, okay, I understand, you know, what they're saying. But with the period tracker, the period tracker, that's what's getting them. Girls will argue in return that like, well, most male gooner games have children in them, and lads doesn't have any children. All of them are 25 plus, 24 plus. Somebody like was arguing that the game somehow made the men look young. This person has to be trolling. I think like there's genuinely no way that a human being like in real life can possibly look at Caleb and think, yeah, he's 14. He looks like a middle schooler to me. He looks fresh out of middle school. He's a 9th grader. And again, whether or not you see that Love and Deep Space is a gooner game, you can see just how crazy this whole situation is. Like, I'm honestly, I can see both sides of not Tectone. I'm not agreeing with Tectone at all. Tectone's weird. We all know that. But in talking about whether or not lads is a gooner game or not is hardly my concern about this argument. My concern, and I put it in quotes, is that it's men saying that the period tracker is the thing that's like making it a gooner game. It's not the shirtless men or that one banner I keep seeing where it's like the men in like cat ears and stuff. No, that's not the gooner game part. No. The gooner game part is the period tracker, and period equals sexual because baby. So if you check your period on your calendar, or if you use Flow, anybody out there use Flow, you're gooning. You open the app and you're gooning. So that's this is a real world with real adults, guys. I can see how some people say that, oh, lads it's a gooner game. I can see that. I can understand. I really do. And I can see the people who say it's not. Like, I do understand their points, but like I feel like the definition of gooner is like getting kind of warped. Everyone has a different definition of gooner. So I can't believe I'm arguing about this. I feel like everyone has a different definition of the word gooner, and because of that, it's like everyone's arguing because everyone thinks everyone else is wrong. Again, Twitter arguments are not the safest place anyway, so I'm not exactly surprised this is happening. I'm surprised that the argument got so like blown out of proportion, because like I said, this argument used to be between like just the girls and the girls and the gays, I guess, whoever's playing lads. It was like within the fandom, and then now Twitter found it, I guess. But I just wanted to talk about this little situation because it blew so far out of proportion. And even if you take nothing else from this video, just remember that Twitter is awful. It shouldn't exist. This argument is stupid regardless, and the world kept spinning.